Oh, hello there. And this is Art again. This is a Friday night. Just chilling at the house. Um, and nothing really going on. Something I've been trying. Last video I talked about AA. I'll do another video on AA pretty soon, probably in the next couple days. But something came up recently, and I thought about it. It was kind of interesting. It was about my DUIs. Well, to put it this way, I have two DUIs. In the state of Michigan, once I get a third DUI, it becomes a felony. Now, based on when that happens, I might lose my job and stuff like that. But I have to take care of some things before, so I don't do that. But I want to talk about my first DUI. Okay, I'll tell you the story about it. The How I got it was I was hanging out with this one girl, this one woman, and it was on her birthday. She was like, "It's my birthday." It was on a Sunday night. She goes, and she worked at a bar. She was like, "Hey, come to the bar, hang out. They're throwing a birthday party for me at the bar." I'm like, "Sure, why not?" I wasn't doing anything Sunday night, so I go there Sunday night and I start to drink. Tell you the truth, I drank so much that night. I do remember drinking about six Bud Lights. That I do remember. Whole variety of shots. This one guy did some kind of shot tower and lit the stuff on fire, and it like sparkled like fireworks. That I do remember. A lot of other things about that night, it's kind of a blur. Of course, I danced with this woman for a little bit, hugged and kissed and stuff like that. And, the night was over, and the owner of the bar looks at me and he goes, "Art, you sure you're okay to get home?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I can do it. No problem." So, "You sure now?" I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." He said, "Okay." So I get in my car and start to drive. Now, what happened is this bar is right near a freeway. Okay. But the thing is, during this time, like about 10 some years ago, the freeway was halfway blocked off for repair. So you only can go to the freeway for a certain amount of time. You had to take side streets. So I took side streets. And, everything was going good. It was late. It was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. It was late. I'm driving home. I get to this one town that was basically almost right near. It was like about 15 minutes from my house. I'm driving, and all of a sudden I notice. I mean, it's like pitch black almost on the street, and I saw something moving. In the back. I'm like, something's moving back there. Can't really figure it out, but it's like something just moving. And so something's following me. Now, one thing I do know is that, I'm from the Detroit area. Detroit area. If you're driving at night and it's late at night and something's moving behind you, somebody's following you. Plus, there was no headlights on. Whoever was following me was driving without the headlights. And so I'm like looking around, so I sped up faster. The speed limit was like 35. I went about 50. I'm like, I'm getting away for this. No way. So I'm driving, and then all of a sudden the lights flicked on. All of a sudden the headlights popped on and flicked on. I'm like, are you serious? So I pull over, and then the guy, I rolled down the window. The officer smelled the alcohol in my breath, and suffice to say, he did some tests, and he says, "Well, sorry, sir, I want to take you to jail." And funny, it was a young cop too, like a young cop. You could tell he's been on the force maybe a couple years, and and he was all gung ho. I got myself a drunk driver. Now the thing is, this city didn't have a police force. They had a police force, but they didn't have a police force. They couldn't afford a police force, so they had to. Another bigger city helped their police force. So what happened is, of course, I go to jail that night. I spend the night in jail. They put me in isolation. They put me in isolation while there was like about 5 or 6 other people they arrested that night. They put me in one big cell. They put me in isolation by myself. I had magazines to read, but of course, being drunk, you're not paying attention to that. You're like, I gotta get the hell out of here. And then as the night went on, of course, you can't sleep because it's cold in there. And then all of a sudden, I look up. It's like, oh man, how am I gonna call my job to say I can't make it? And the funny thing is, at that time, everybody you couldn't call cell phones, so I had to call my grandmother at the time and tell my mom I'm in jail because I couldn't because you couldn't call. You had to make a collect calls. You can't make a collect call to a cell phone. So so here's the thing. I look up and I was like, okay, fine. And what happens when my mom gets this message? I guess she's been trying to figure out where the hell I was because I knew I was in Oakland County, so I was in Troy, a deer jail cell. She thought I was in Oakland County jail, which is like an hour and a half away. So she drove there looking for me, and she couldn't find me and everything. So what happened was about like 8 o'clock in the morning. They take me into this room, and I see the prosecutor for a pre-trial interview. And of course, they handcuff me to the table. I'm sitting right here like, what the hell? I was like, is this freaking necessary? I'm like, is this necessary? Handcuff me to the table. Oh, this is for our protection. I'm like, what makes you think I'm going to do something to you in a jail? There's cops all around with guns. What what the hell I'm going to do? But I guess in the past some people would did something stupid. So I guess they say it was for my protection. I'm like, sure, okay. So she asked me a bunch of questions. The first question I asked her was, how much trouble am I in? She wouldn't answer the question. I'm like, well, how much trouble am I in? I mean, so you start asking me a question, I'll give you an answer. I have a question for you: is how much trouble am I in? Because I need to know what's going on. Oh, you know what, Mr. Warren, you're not sober enough to see the judge right now. You gotta see him in the afternoon. I'm sitting right here like, are you freaking kidding me? I could have got out within an hour. So I'm like, oh man. So it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. So I gotta wait another 6 hours. Sorry, not being hungover and everything wasn't a fun. So 2 o'clock rolls around. The judge, I go. They put me in chains. I call it chains. They locked me up, and I'm in chain. I'm in chains. They walk us to the straight. I sit down. They call my name. Well, this is what happened. You got caught. You was driving. You was driving under the influence. How you plead? I said, I said, well, I guess you did say I was driving drunk, I guess. And he goes, well, Mr. Warren, you had a perfect driving record. I said, well, until last night. And the whole court starts laughing. Okay, let me see if I can lighten this mood up a bit. So what happens? They let me on my own. They let me out without bond on my own recognizance. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I said, okay, I got a report. So I didn't have to pay any bond or anything like to get out. So I get out, I'm like, well, where's my license? Oh, we had to take that away from you. Why? Well, if you get busted for drunk driving, your license gets shredded. I'm like, what am I gonna do for picture ID? Well, either one, two things. You have to go to the Secretary of State to get a state ID or what? I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay, so I get my stuff out, get my cell phone. Luckily, I still had a charge on my cell phone. Call my job, tell them I couldn't make it, and I'll be in there hopefully the next day. Okay, so luckily that was good. Then of course, trying to figure out where my car was. Go to the they give me a sheet of paper saying you know I gotta get a sheet of paper to go to the place to the impound to get my car. The police station, they dicked around, waited like 2 hours, made me sit around for 2 hours just to get a sheet of paper saying I can go pick up my car. I'm like, come on, you guys not doing anything. I can see you guys just standing around doing nothing. I mean, come on now. But that's what kind of stuff they do. They make you wait. So if you, they make you, they force you to suffer. So that way you can learn your lesson. Then trying to find the impound, which is all, it's kind of funny. It's always somewhere you don't realize where it is. Pay $200 to get my car on the impound, drive it home, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Of course, court date comes around. Oh, sorry. I get a lawyer. I don't know why you have to get a lawyer. You have to pay money to get a lawyer when they're gonna screw your ass over anyway. So I got sentenced for a year probation, and I had to take this alcohol training program, a victims impact panel, and I had to spend they call it a drug and alcohol weekend retreat. That was fun. So which should I talk about first? And so a couple months later, I'm doing random drug and alcohol testing like a lot of people do. Pain in the ass. But if you had to test on the weekends, yeah, this is about like almost 12 at night. I'm doing this between 11 and 12 at night, so it's kind of funny. So I'm sitting right here like, all right. So this is better. So going through all that, it was a 13-week intensive drug and alcohol prevention program. It's ran by a person who was on probation or parole, and and what happens? This guy would be a topic, and this guy would talk about this topic, and he monitors what you do in there. If you don't say anything, he writes down this person didn't say anything. If you say something witty or have something kind of insight, do write it down, and it looks good for your probation officer. Of course, seeing probation was fun as well. So here I am. I get sick. Did I do the victims impact panel first or the drug? Let me talk about the drug and alcohol weekend. That was fun. I had to drive to like almost 2 hours out of my way. It was right near a famous concert ground. So, and what happened? You basically stay in the monastery for a week. For a weekend. So Saturday morning, you had to be there. You had to report there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you got to stay there until like 8, like whenever. So what happens? You're actually in this monastery. As you see it, and when I say monastery, it's actual monastery, like monks. Well, they call it capuchins or something like that. They dress like monks, religious order kind of thing, and so they intensive drug and alcohol trained. They tell you all about how drugs is in your system and all sorts of stuff, all freaking day, all day. You get a break for lunch. The funny thing was that I took a break, our lunch break. I'm walking around there. I'm walking around, so we had like an hour, and I see my best friend's wife there because she was on a religious retreat. I'm like, oh fucking hell! And then I like, cause I told him I had to go do this, and then he didn't. He even put two and two together that we both was at the same place, but we won't be really talking to each other, so which is fun. And then they make us play this game where we have to put on goggles that simulates being drunk and try to hit a baseball. Wow. Sunday morning came around, intensive training, intensive training. Then after that, they let you go home. Then months later, I had to do the victims impact panel. What the victims impact panel is a whole bunch of people sit there and listen to other people whose families' lives was changed because of drunk driving. Now, the funny thing about that whole ordeal was you had to pay for it. It's an additional fee. And if you don't show up for it, you violate probation. And I'm like, oh, I hate this. So, naturally, I go there. I sit and listen to all these people talk and everything else, and I'm not even moving because I was sick. I was sick as a dog. And I was like, man, my head's spinning and everything else. And this one lady stops there, and what happens, there was sheriffs in there standing to make sure nothing's going on and everything, make sure you don't leave the place to use the bath. Once you go in there, you can't even use the bathroom. So, and what happened, I see some, I kind of, my table I was sitting at, some people said, why these cops are looking at this guy? And they're like, dude, I'm like, what? These cops are looking at you. I'm like, so, what? I'm here. And then what happened was that I guess he mentioned to one of the people talking, and so the lady was like, the lady basically, her relative got killed by a drunk driver, and she's very religious. And she's like, sir. I'm like, me? She goes, yes. There's lots of people at your table, they're crying, and they seem sad, and you just seem like you could care less what's going on. So like, don't you understand what this is about? I goes, am I allowed to talk? Am I allowed to speak? And she goes, yes. She basically tried to make an example out of me. I said, yes, I know what this is about. Anybody who knows anything, anybody with a half a brain can figure out what this is about. You're trying to scare us from drinking and driving. Okay? Simple as that. And using your personal experiences. He goes, well, yeah. And so don't you think you should stop drinking and driving? I'm like, well, I didn't realize I was drinking and driving until I got caught. And she goes, oh, you're kind of a smart ass. Like, no, I'm not a smart ass at all. That's how my brain works. Well, doesn't this move you and everything? I said, no, what you did is not moving to me at all. Well, some other judge will make you go to a morgue. I said, a morgue will be a hell of a lot, to me, a morgue will be a hell of a lot more entertaining than this, more interesting to me than this. And everybody's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And the cops are like, whoa. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second, guys. Remember, I'm forced to come here. Chill. And she goes, well, didn't anything I say, anything about my story move you? I was like, no, not really, ma'am. I'll tell you why. And she goes, why? I said, I could tell you the reason, but you're not going to like it. And she goes, I want to know this reason. I said, okay, ma'am, you say you're a very religious person. She goes, yeah. So if you're religious, you believe in a theory called God's will. That means what you're going to do, God already knows what you're going to do, and you can't change it. For us, it looks like we made a choice, but in actuality, we have no choice. That's what God's will, or they call it the manifest destiny. And she goes, okay. And I said, well, here's the thing. Your relative that died, it was God's will for him to die. The only question is the instrument of his death. And she looked at me, and I was like, and some of the people's lights started looking. I said, wait, whoa, I'm like, think about it. You're telling me that you're very religious. You're very religious. You worship God. You go to church and all this other stuff, and pray and all this other stuff, right? Yeah. God said that your relatives are going to die that day. Now, how he's going to die is a totally different matter. He knows how he's going to die. And then he put that guy there. He said, this guy's going to kill this guy that day. So what happened is, God, the person you worship, basically told those two people, that he basically told this guy, you're going to get drunk and you're going to kill this guy as a drunk driver. Nothing you could do about it. You would not believe the irony. I said, she started getting pissed off. I said, don't get mad. I said, don't get mad. Do not get mad at all. Because if you sit back, take a step back and actually think about it, you know I'm correct. And if you really want to be pissed off, don't be pissed off the drunk driver. Be pissed off at your deed. Be pissed off at God. Because he was the one who caused that. That was pretty funny. Me dropping the phone like that. But the fun thing is when I said that, she was so livid. She was like, but it's actually true. If you're a religious person, God has a will for you. And I said, well, that's and the thing about it. If you believe in God's will, it was my will. God said, Mr. Warren, you can go out to the bar that night for this girl's birthday party. You're gonna drink a hell of a. You're gonna drink a shitload of beer and alcohol, and you're gonna get in your car and you're gonna drive home and you're gonna get busted for drunk driving. And because of God's will, you're going to do a 1 year probation. And because of God's will, you're going to do random drug and alcohol tests. And because of God's will, you're going to do a drug and alcohol weekend. And because of God's will, you have to sit in this impact panel. Of course, let's just say some people started laughing because they thought about it and said, "This guy's right." But the thing is that you never piss off the people from the impact panel, even though you're maybe correct. They hold a grudge. So what happened was they went after that I left, went home, got myself better, conked out, went to sleep. Next time I went to probation, and my probation officer like, I seen you cause a stir in the victim's impact panel. I go, I didn't really cause a stir. I just told the truth. You singling me out. You asked me a question. I told you the truth. If that person can't handle it, that's not my fault. Well, you really shouldn't have done it. Well, they shouldn't have singled me out. So then, of course, they started paying attention to what I was doing because I mouthed off. But then again, you got to think about it. As long as I was doing the right thing by not drinking or anything like that, I was okay. There's nothing they could do. Until I got sick with pneumonia, and they gave me this medicine called Levaquin when I was in the hospital. That I was in the hospital that Thursday night. They gave me Levaquin. I left Friday morning from the hospital with with a prescription, filled it out, and took it all weekend. Monday I had a drug test. Levaquin gives you a false drug test for opium. So of course, when I dropped, even though I told them the medication and everything else, because I didn't have the actual pill bottle with me, because they don't tell you if you're taking any medication, bring the pill bottle with you. Because of that, guess what happened? I violated probation. And since I violated probation, oh, that was fun. Then, of course, I gave them all proof of what was going on, and then they said, "No, you gotta do a drug. You gotta go to front of the judge." The judge looked at me and goes, I said, "Not guilty." And the judge like, "Oh, not guilty." The prosecutor, "Oh, not guilty." Like, "Yep, not guilty." "Why you say not guilty?" I said, "Because you saying I took some opiates. I did not take any opiates." Now you said I drug tested for opiates. I didn't have to take any opiates. You said I took some illicit drugs. I didn't do any illicit drugs. If I went to the hospital for pneumonia and they gave me medication and I showed you proof of all that, oh, really? And I said, oh yeah, I faxed it over to that. I faxed it over to that. I faxed it over to the probation officer, which the court has a copy of that. I also faxed over to my lawyer. My lawyer's like, mm-hmm. And the judge was like, well, just take a couple minutes and think about this. So what happened? My lawyer went out. He basically said, you know what? He looked at me. He goes, I think they want to try you in court. I'm like, let's go for the trial. And he says, you sure you want to do that? I say, yep. Okay. So what happened was he told the prosecutor, said, hey, my client, he's willing to go to trial for this. He gave you guys the information that he was in the hospital. It tells you what they did. And they gave you the information from all that. And he said, I bet you 9 times and 100 and you guess what? You still try to railroad him? Guess what? He was going to take it to trial, and guess what? We will win. And I'm pretty sure for one thing is we're going to push for you. We're going to push a lawsuit against you. You're gonna basically pay him all of his money back. Let's just say that the prosecutor knew that he was trying to railroad and he got caught. The probation officer kind of realized that, like, oh my God, this guy knows what he's doing. We're not dealing with some idiot here. Like that meme on the internet. Mm-hmm. So then they gave me. So what happened is they reversed it. Even the judge, like, oh, you're reversing your decision. It goes, yeah, there's some evidence that came to light that we didn't really pay attention to. And he goes, oh, okay, you're back on probation. I was like, well, oh, sheesh. I said, maybe I should have pushed to get the probation dismissed. And the lawyer was like, nah, let's not push it. I'm like, okay. So they had me go to this other so the other drug facility was that we're going to test them. Now we're going to put you to this other drug testing facility, where it's going to cost you more money. It's like $50 a shot, and you have to do it within 24 hours after we call you. And if you fail, you're definitely going down. Let's just say I didn't go. Let's just say for the rest of the 4 or 5 months, everything went smoothly. I got discharged from probation, and I thought I learned my lesson. Now, the thing is, I did not drink alcohol for 6 months. Until one day, I went to a concert with my best friend, took him home. I said, let me go to the bar, just check everybody out. Then I got drunk that night. That was my first DUI, and a small synopsis of what happened during that year. Now, the thing is, I do say that if you want to drink, I have no problems with you drinking, but just don't drive. It's not even worth it. If you like pissing away your money, losing your car and potential people that and friends and all this stuff, if you want to do all that, go ahead, but don't do it. Now, the thing is that this video, I don't get money from this. I don't get paid for this. I don't even try to get paid for this. I don't have a Patreon. I don't have a PayPal. I don't have anything. The only cost is for you to listen to my story. That's the only thing I'm gonna charge you, is to listen to my story. Now, this happened 10 years ago, and certain things slightly changed. So the next video, I'll talk about my second DUI, which I'll probably do that tomorrow or something like that. And then I'll talk about the AA thing again. Future thoughts on AA. But anyway, it kind of sucks right now because my car is down because there's something wrong with the transmission, and so my mechanic is supposedly fixing it right now. So hopefully I'm on the road tomorrow. Taking a bus sucks. Even though the bus system is great, but because there's less routes, it kind of sucks. But anyway, I'm gonna relax, have fun, and talk to you soon.